Mike, you're
presentation.
not sharing
Just
your screen.
yeah, I'm not sharing yet. I'm just talking.
Okay.
But yeah, just wanted to again just welcome you guys. I'll go and share my screen so we can get started. All right. Okay. And just quick thumbs up there, Mike. And I believe Karima, can you guys give me a thumbs up if you guys can see the slide okay? Awesome. Thank you for your participation. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the slide for today, go into this presentation. So as I mentioned, today we'll be focusing strictly on Microsoft 365 services and tools, specifically talking about Copilot and how it can really impact your business in a beneficial way. So my name is Mike Major. I'm a senior Azure consultant with Amaratech IT. My experience, I would say, spans about close to about 10 years in varying positions, starting out as working in help desk product support and eventually making my way to becoming a cloud engineer, working with Azure and AWS, as well as now as an Azure consultant. So I want to kind of put you in the frame of mind that I think, as you all join today, we all understand that our world is changing, right? We're at a unique moment in time that's made possible largely due to the digitalization of our business, right? The entire industries are completely transforming, and the macroeconomics of the environments are shifting, right? So you're probably saying, like, what do you mean by that? Well, let's look at this chart here, right? So we've experienced diffusion, right, at this scale in the tech industry. We have never experienced diffusion at this scale in the tech industry, and now we see that the growth curve is no longer just a gentle slope, right? So, like, let's say, for instance, back in my day, getting a mobile phone, right? Many of you may have had, StarTAC or Nokia, or maybe even an iPhone was your first device. But just the progression from when we reached 100 million users took about 16 years, right? As fast as the technology in the mobile industry has evolved, right? We look at the internet, right? The adoption of the internet took about 7 years, right, to reach 100 million users. And then we look at ChatGPT, and that's been accomplished in 3 months, right? Which is staggering, right? And so what that tells us is that the rate is increasing, okay, to the point where it literally is it's a straight line, right? It's incredible, right? I'm seeing ChatGPT everywhere, right? I have my parents using it, I have friends, kids using it. My kids will, try to use it. I try to advise them to use what's up here first, but let them know that those tools are available for research purposes and can really enhance their livelihood, right? And so the impact is real. Okay, the impact is real, and we're living through right now a momentous platform shift, right? One of the things that we see is that history has taught us that technology coincides, it drives really GDP growth, and the pace for change, as you can see based off this graph is accelerating, right? Um, and so we have also, alongside the actual, shifts in technology, starting at the printing press, moving into steam engines, then transistors, PCs, and cloud, right? We see that in addition to the technological growth, also tech spend grows as well, right? Those two things coincide, right? And so historically, tech is a GDP growth multiplier from 4 times, right, in the 1800s to about 20 times over the last century, right? And AI will be the next leg up for the world's economic growth. Okay. So one of the predominant narratives around AI is the notion that employees are fearful that it may ultimately put them out of a job, right? And that feeling cannot be discredited. I've spoken to many people regarding the rise of AI, and that's been one of the most common thoughts that they've said to me, like, "Hey, Mike, I'm really worried for my kids. Will they be able to have jobs, right? With the way technology is accelerating." And for me, it's not about being fearful; it's about being educated and understanding truly what the resources are and understanding how we can manipulate these resources and tools to make it advantageous for ourselves, right? So there was a survey done based off of just this general conversation, and 49% of our respondents had some concern about their job security. A staggering 70% would actually still consider utilizing ChatGPT or tools in AI to delegate as much work as possible to lessen their daily workloads, right? Simply put, people know what these things can do at a high level, and want to see how can it really make their workloads much easier with all the things that are being added on to our day-to-day lives in terms of task and responsibilities, right? So let's explore this a bit further. So, you know, now most people, given the cost of lunch these days, um, they probably wouldn't turn down a free lunch, right? If they could, right? Because several years ago, well, you can go get maybe a burger or a sub for maybe under like $5 or $6, and now it's going to cost you more than that, right? But with that being said, we asked and took surveys of users and found, is there value between using Copilot, an AI tool, and a free lunch, right? And 80%, when fully aware of what Copilot could do for them in their work, chose Copilot over the free lunch, right? And 30% even said it would influence their choice of employer based off of it that employer was utilizing Copilot in the environment. That's staggering. So even with an opportunity for you to get a free lunch, people say, there's more value. It makes my job easier once I'm fully aware of what it can do. And so let's really explore that and dig deeper into that. So the platform shift to AI is well underway, right? Just as customers turn to Microsoft, to help them make the shift to remote and flexible work during the pandemic, they're now turning to us to help them understand how this era of AI will change your work yet again, right? And we've long relied on data to help us understand where work is going, because that's a great predictor of things, is looking at the data and making predictive analysis, right? And we do that through our annual work trend index, right? And this is a link there if you want to check that out. But as well as productivity signs from the Microsoft graph and labor market trends from LinkedIn. So all these sources of data are used for us to make predictions and analysis in terms of work trends. And what did we find? We found that based on our research, excuse me, I got a little cough here. Based on our research, we found that 64% of employees don't have enough time or energy to do their jobs, right? And the primary cause of this time and energy drain are things like searching for information, navigating through inefficient meetings, right? You might have about 4 or 5 meetings scheduled during the day when you really could probably consolidate them to maybe 1 or 2. Maybe those meetings don't need to be an hour and a half. Maybe they really should be about 30 to 45 minutes. There's a level of inefficiency in our workplace. I think we can all recognize that, right? And so all those things combined with researching information and doing R&D when necessary, it adds to additional task work that puts a drain on what we were primarily probably brought there to do, right? And based off of also that analysis, we found that nearly 60% of the time, on communicating and coordinating is time spent, which really is about 40% for actual creation, deep thinking, and collaboration, right? Which is really the meat and potatoes of what we want to do at our job, right? Employers want their employees to be creating, really applying deep levels of thought to solving problems and collaborating not only within their teams, but intra-departmentally, right? When necessary. Now we add on top of that, right? We have the volume of data, we have emails, we have chats, right? All this have made it processing how we work really overwhelming. What we call this is digital debt. Okay? It's called digital debt. Every minute spent managing this digital debt is a minute that we're not spent doing creative work, right? In a world where creativity is the new productivity, right? Companies have to come up with creative ways to stay engaged with their employees because there's so much competition, right? How do we keep our prices where we want to be able to keep the cost advantageous for our customers, right? How do we ensure that we're marketing in a creative way that attracts customers, so we're not having to compete with these big conglomerates, right? We want to make sure that we're still attractive and fulfilling a need for people in our communities, right? Okay, the digital debt, in a world where creativity is new productivity, the digital debt is more than inconvenience. It's really impacting business. That's really where the issue is. It's impacting the bottom line. Okay, um, nearly 2 in 3 people say they don't have enough time and energy to really do their job. Again, 2 out of 3 people. So this is a reoccurring theme of not having enough time to do their job. And those same employees are 3.5 times more likely to struggle with innovation and strategic thinking, right? So I want you, as we're going through this, I want you to really think about this digital debt. Really think about it and ask yourself, am I as an employer, am I creating an environment where that's the case? If I'm an employee, is this how I'm feeling? Is this really, is this what I'm feeling? Like, really think about it and lock into that, because I think that's something that we want to take from this conversation today and really start to challenge that by the use of these productivity tools. Okay. So when you talk to various organizations, right? And again, this is like, with various studies that are commonly done through Microsoft, right? 87% of leaders believe that AI can give these companies a competitive edge. Okay, if used properly, AI can take them to the next level. And the question that every leader is asking themselves right now, based off of this analysis, is, well, how will our organization seize this full potential of AI, right? How do we do this while also safeguarding your business, our business, right? Your data, and making sure your employees are protected, right? Also, how does this translate for your customers? So these are the questions that leaders are really starting to ask as AI starts to permeate into the various institutions within the country, right, and across the world too. Okay, all right. And just some more data. I know we've kind of really been focused on this, but again, this is just more so to combat some of that fear and concern as it relates to AI. You have to do research and you have to get information, right? And what we found is that employees and leaders are ready to embrace it, okay? Because at the end of the day, you can only avoid it but so long. And then your competition starts using it, and then they start using it as leverage in the marketplace and creating advantageous opportunities. So it's important for you to become aware and fully engaged as to what it can do, right? Okay. So just gonna keep on pressing here again. Just want to really just stir that thought into your mind as far as making sure to really engage with AI and not to allow it to keep you on the outside of what could potentially take your business to the next level. Okay. All right. And so these are some key questions that when you're preparing, right? Because hopefully, you're listening to this presentation, you're going, "Hey, Mike, this sounds great. I'm ready to jump in," right? So before we jump in, let's ask ourselves a couple questions to really try to set a baseline, right? So the first thing we want to know is, well, what are your goals for using AI, right? Right. What are the goals? What are the pain points within your organization that can be addressed with AI? What are where it's contentions being created, where there's bottleneck, productivity issues, right? Also, if you're currently using AI, what are those capabilities? How are you using it? Right? How do you seek to change that? Are you looking to increase it? How exactly are you looking to spread it to different parts of your departments or teams? Right? Also asking the question in terms of data strategy, right? How is your data being managed? What's the retention policy? Where's it being stored? Is it redundant? Right? These are all the questions as it relates to data you want to ask. And I think one of the most important questions to really ask is, do you have the necessary infrastructure and resources to support AI initiatives? Right? Do you have the components? Do you have the apparatus to really support it? Because if you don't, it's really hard to jump into it, right? And each of these elements, I believe, and Microsoft believes, will help guide and shape how you bring AI into your organization. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk through two focuses as it relates to an AI powered organization, and I'll walk you through kind of how those trains of thoughts go in terms of how an organization would potentially make that shift. Okay. So let's start off with foundational productivity. Okay. So rather than develop AI, from scratch, right? What ended up happening was, in order to really start to build this AI powered organization model, um, data scientists, took machine learning models, right, the powered applications, and made them more quick, and efficient, and more powerful in terms of how they operated. All right, and this created a foundational baseline, right? And in order to jump into that foundational baseline, there were a couple key components that we need to focus on, right? So the first thing is, when you're looking to become an AI powered business, is there are three key steps. All right. One, you want to introduce your employees to using generative AI with Copilot, with commercial data protection, to prepare them for the future workplace. Right. What this means is introducing it in a way that allows them to be integrated in understanding how these tools work. Right. How it can be beneficial for them. Right. What are the skill developments as necessary? Okay. Those are some of the things that you would be mindful of. All right. Next, it's then, after you do that, then it's like, okay, how do we standardize what we're doing within 365, right? So if you already use 365, you're good. If not, then this will help. But standardizing and making sure that it's a consistent experience in how you are productive in your workplace environments, right? And then by doing that, once you've standardized it, you're now able to enrich it with Copilot to add those additional AI capabilities. Okay. And lastly, you want to make sure that you're organizing the sensitive business data, right? So we want to make sure that any business data that you're utilizing is protected, okay? And just to kind of reinforce those points, like I said, main thing is, again, you want to make sure that empower your employees, right, with those AI powered tools, okay? We want to make sure we standardize within 365, make sure it's widely used, being adopted, and then we want to make sure that our data is protected and it's secure. Okay. All right. So again, those are some of the key pieces to really jumping into becoming an AI powered organization. So now let's really shift into Copilot, right? So this is the part that, it always gets me excited when I talk about what Copilot is doing in the marketplace. And so Microsoft Copilot, which was formerly known as Bing Chat Enterprise, is an immersive tool utilizing the power of AI to really take your 365 experience to the next level in terms of being, productive, being efficient, and just being intuitive to what you do. Let's explore this a bit more, right? So so why Copilot, right? There's a ton of things you could utilize on the marketplace, but why Copilot, right? And some of the main things with Copilot, just beyond expanding on what's here, is that Copilot has access to powerful AI models utilizing ChatGPT 4 for text, and DALL-E 3 for images. Okay, so these are two AI model tools that's integrated within Copilot, and these are the latest AI models that's being used. Not to mention, this access comes at no additional cost on your eligible licenses. Okay, so no additional cost there. All right. Copilot is transparent, it's current, it cites the data sources behind its answers. So sometimes when you're using an AI tool, you'll put some questions in there and you'll just get a spit out of something that may not necessarily be accurate. Okay, it may be perceived to be accurate, right? But you're not necessarily sure. And you want to be really sure as a business owner or as an employee to any information you're using within the workplace, right? But with Copilot, Copilot cites the data sources behind its answers so that there's a reference point for you to check, which I think is really assuring as a user of AI, and it gives you that confidence to know, like, okay, it's not just pulling this information out of thin air, right? So Copilot provides up-to-date answers, with no knowledge cutoff, grounded in the Bing search index. So it uses Bing search to pull that information. And when I say that there's no knowledge cutoff, with typical AI models, you'll find that there's a cutoff period by which its knowledge stops. Meaning, like, let's say, for instance, the AI tool you're using may tell you, hey, my information stops at April of 2024. Okay. So now there's a limitation to this tool, right? And again, that's not the end of the world, but it can definitely be impactful if you're trying to make key business decisions or get work done right then and there. Okay. Another benefit is business data is protected, right? So Copilot doesn't save your prompts or the answers it gives you, and it does not use them to train the AI model. All right. So it's strictly used to just elicit the information you need and allow you to do what you need to do. Okay. Now, employees and teams can leverage Copilot to help them do tasks like, summarize PDFs quickly, right? So imagine you're getting that long PDF that you need to review. Well, you can have Copilot summarize it for you, give you the quick pieces that you need to know to be able to make a quick decision. We're talking about drafting emails really efficiently. I know some of us are, you're trying to write an email and you maybe go through it a couple times, trying to make sure you get it written just right. Well, with Copilot, it'll be able to take that initial email, and optimize it so that you can quickly get it sent out, right? And also, you can get answers to complex questions quickly without any concerns or issues whatsoever, right? And these are just some of the common workday uses that we've seen with it. This also takes into account generating images, learning new skills, right? If you want to become familiar with how to do a certain task, Copilot can help you with that. Okay. So with Copilot, right? Um, with Copilot, and just to kind of bring this together, right? There is a shift, right? Um, in terms of upskilling and being familiar with these tools, all right? And so, from prompt engineering to reimagining workflows within AI, again, 82% of leaders that we've engaged with anticipate employees will need new skills in the AI era, right? So these new skills will be tacked on to obviously utilizing Copilot and tools of the like to really enhance what they're doing in the workplace, right? And and we're already seeing a year-to-year increase of about 79% in the number of LinkedIn job postings that reference GPT or GAI, which is generative AI, right? And so again, it's more focused on ensuring that the skills are necessary to use these services with confidence. Okay. So that's really what we want to make sure we focus on. Now, this screen here is more so speaking to just what you get with Copilot, the free version, as well as Copilot with 365. And as you can see, it speaks for itself. The $30 is worth quite a bit. All right. It gives you complete access to all these services and features within the Copilot family. So it's very much worth your investment. Okay. Um, so I'll just go ahead and proceed there, but I just want to leave this up in case, 'cause I know this is always a slide that gets people's attention. So again, just so you can really see the value there. But really good stuff. All right, great. So when we talk about a comprehensive solution, right, we're talking about Microsoft and Amartech providing solutions that we find will be beneficial for your business. Okay. And when we talk about solutions, we're talking at a foundational level, right? And it starts with 365. And for those who are not familiar with 365, it's a solution that stretches across different elements, right? That's required in the modern world that allow you to leverage Copilot and stack on top of that. Those 365 tools are pretty much all the Microsoft Suite services, such as Office and Word and Excel, PowerPoint, right? Everything, all the products and services within those are SharePoint, right? That really take your business to a modern level in terms of your ability to remain productive. Okay. But let's kind of break down into subcategories here because there's some key pieces that within this are really points that I want to focus on, right? So you may see like the very first option there, the very first bullet is talking about zero trust, right? So for those who are not familiar with zero trust really is based off the premise that every access point to your networking data should be rigorously authenticated and protected to reduce the risk of a security breach, right? making sure that who has access to what is set and configured. By doing that, you can eliminate cybersecurity attacks and compromises to your data. Okay, and these are tools and foundational commitments within the solution that Microsoft has been very aggressive in ensuring that's placed there. Right. Another component to this solution is a robust endpoint management, right, which allows for device control. When I say endpoint management, I'm talking about like your peripheral devices, like your mobile devices, like your cell phones, Apple devices, Android, or the like, and your PCs or Mac devices, right? And so those endpoints, right, it allows you to have great device control, maintenance, and security enforcement, and creating a stable work environment. All right. And then lastly, um, productivity and collaboration, right? So within this environment, we want to ensure that these tools are designed to really work together efficiently and effectively to ensure that you're able to do your work at the highest level, right? And so there's no hiccups or stalling when you're doing your work, okay? Now, through this comprehensive solution, all these capabilities I reviewed with you along with a stack of products under each, are designed to work together, right? That's the whole thing. We it's designed to complement each other and work as a cohesive unit. And that's why what makes this solution so beneficial and so powerful. And we really believe that zero trust and a simplified endpoint management are requirements for stellar productivity and collaborative experience. You've got to have it. Okay, so as long as those key components are there within the solution will be successful. And we feel that really works best for our customers and for you, right? Let's just go ahead and move on to the next slide here. Um, so we've talked a lot about Copilot, right? And the various ways that it can be beneficial here. And I just want to kind of take it a bit deeper into Copilot in terms of if you have existing organizational policies, right? So if you have any existing 365 security policies, compliance, anything for privacy, Copilot will inherit that. Okay, you won't have to go in and specific setup. Once it's placed in your environment, it will absorb that, right? Your data is logically isolated and protected within your 365 tenant and always within your control. That's actually one of the main things you're going to do once you get set up is you will define the controls for your data right off the gate, right? And so by design, Copilot for 365 respects user-specific and group permissions to any content or information it retrieves, and it's only going to generate the responses based off of information that a user explicitly have permission to access, right? So as long as you have access to it, then you'll be able to utilize it and manipulate it, right? But again, we want to really emphasize that within Copilot and Microsoft 365, respecting the data, all right, and your right to control that data is paramount. That's key, all right. And as long as that's understood, you're able to really maximize the tools here. Okay, and it's going to allow you to assess your data, set your security policies, really determine if those policies are designed with your mind, if they need to be optimized or updated. All that can be utilized within those tools there. And Microsoft 365 also allows you to classify teams to ensure the right people are privy to the right conversations, right? So just making sure that even within teams, Copilot and 365 can even add an extended level of granular access and security. Okay, so uh, we have a business premium specifically included component within Teams that has capabilities such as sensitivity labels and retention labels. This will allow you to really restrict the permissions within 365 and set up retention for policies and emails. So there's a high level of granular access that you'll be able to apply into your environment to make sure control is where it should be with you, the user, right? And doing all these things will ensure that Copilot for 365 is reasoning over the set of business contexts and the content that's most relevant and based off of what you find to be beneficial for you. All right. Again, it's really making sure the environment is designed with you in mind and with your control in the forefront. Okay. All right, great. So we're going to continue on. And so just to kind of give a bit more context to Copilot, right? So Copilot is designed to unlock your productivity and unleash your creativity, and that's done in four phases within the natural language architecture, right? So within Copilot, right, we have a large language model. Then we use Microsoft Graph, which is a component that utilizes your data that adds on to Microsoft 365's application suite and the internet. Okay, so this is what comprises 365. It's these four components. Okay, and with that being said, it's built off of this your approach, right? It's focused on four key tenets: security, remaining compliant, privacy, and responsible AI usage. Okay, pretty straightforward. I think I don't need to elaborate that, but I think you can see that again. This is I'm reemphasizing this multiple times just because again I want you all to leave this session today with the confidence knowing that this is important. Okay, the security and compliance and privacy, as well as making sure the AI usage is responsible, is really important for Copilot, and that's what sets it apart from the competition. Okay. All right. And what we want you to do with 365 is by using 365 with Copilot, it's going to allow you to really focus on what matters most for your business, right? Which is running your business, okay? Growing your customer base, being able to scale it as necessary, and building out your brand, right? This will allow you to really dedicate that time. And remember, we talked about that digital debt, right? That digital debt that's taking away from actually being able to drill down into the key things that will help grow and push your business to the next level. 365 with Copilot will allow you to do that. Okay, and this just means you'll be able to serve your customers better with better Outlook components. Be able to land more deals. Again, grow your customer base, build your brand more creatively, and again more effectively with Word and PowerPoint. Okay, and with your usage of Excel, you can be able to think faster. Okay. And speaking of those tools, again, I just wanted to kind of highlight here are the tools that are within the 365 suite. So as I mentioned, we have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Microsoft Teams. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to pause here for a quick second because we next have a video. It's going to provide a brief overview of, we have a series of videos. It's going to provide a brief overview of some of the capabilities of Copilot within these set tools. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop sharing my screen for just a moment here. And we'll go through the videos in a moment.
Whoa. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Stand still, that's the motto. Yeah. Brand new bands for the auto. Oh, foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield got. Boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it outbid. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't never do it, okay, how's it? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To-do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Look, flows the same now. Paved the way, the snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back to back, I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
All right, and this next video will be speaking to Copilot, its integration within Teams.
Imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting. After the meeting ends, Copilot will summarize what you missed. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. This recap will highlight content that was shared, summarize notes, and any action items for you or others whose names were mentioned. You see that one of your customers was discussed, and you want to learn more. You can ask Copilot clarifying questions, and it provides a detailed response. It can tell you why a certain decision was made. and gives you helpful context. You can even ask Copilot what other solutions were considered. And it provides citations from the transcript so you can see where Copilot drew these conclusions. It's a huge time saver. So that was pretty cool. But the real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. Let's say you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize the meeting so far. You can see how it summarizes who said what points were made, and it's really capturing the spirit of the discussion. And as the meeting progresses, you can check in on where people stand. You can even ask Copilot what questions are unresolved. It's just amazing to see this happen in real time during a meeting.
All right, excellent. All right, so just to kind of go through the recap there, as we can see within Microsoft Teams, there's a whole host of capabilities that Copilot adds to it, right? Like I said, especially one of my favorite parts is that intelligent recap. I think that's just phenomenal. It's built in, it's automated, it's going to standardize the way you're able to go into your meetings and be able to designate exactly what happened in the meeting. You know, how many times have you left a meeting and not really sure exactly who said what, right? With intelligent recap, it's going to allow you to be able to go back after the call and be able to see exactly who said what and what are the key parts you need to focus on. All right. And again, as I mentioned, as it says there, this is available after the meeting, right? And then we have also, Copilot in Teams. So again, it's conversational. It's really helpful to allow you to maximize and be productive within your Teams environment. So for those who are fans of Teams, I'm sure this will probably take your fandom to the next level. All right, excellent. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the next tool, the next video, which will be more so specifically looking at Copilot in Outlook.
Copilot in Outlook can help you prioritize your time and stay on top of meetings. Here you've been invited to a meeting that conflicts with the meeting you're planning to attend. Clearly, you can only attend one. From the meeting invite, you can choose to RSVP with follow. Switching over to your calendar, you can see that you're now following this meeting. Once the meeting starts on Teams, the organizer will receive a notification to record the meeting because someone is following it. Now, after the meeting is done and the recording is ready, Copilot will notify you that the meeting recap is ready for you to review. You can then ask Copilot some questions about the meeting, like, summarize this meeting, or are there any action items for me? That way you can stay on top of things as if you were present during the meeting.
All right, and then we'll now go into Copilot for Word.
When you've written a paragraph in shorthand, you can highlight it and click Rewrite. Copilot then offers several alternate options to choose from that are all written professionally. And it can translate wordy or complex paragraphs into digestible visualized tables. You can even use Copilot to add a column with extra data, which it can complete automatically. Copilot also makes you the expert on any document. Simply ask a question about the content, and Copilot will provide a concise response.
Impressive, right? Really good stuff. All right, so let's keep the ball rolling. Let's check out Copilot in Excel.
Copilot puts all the rich capabilities of Excel at your fingertips. Say you need to analyze this quarter's sales results for the monthly business review. You start by asking Copilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need. But you want to drill in. You ask Copilot a follow-up question about one of the trends. Copilot creates a new sheet, giving you a sandbox to play in, and helping you get a better understanding of what's happening without modifying the data in the original sheet. You ask Copilot to visualize what contributed to the decline in sales growth this period. Copilot adds a little color to make the problem jump off the page. Now you want to dig a little deeper and ask a follow-up question with a what-if scenario. Copilot not only answers your question, it creates a simple model of the scenario and even asks you if you want to learn more about what it did with a step-by-step breakdown. Finally, you can ask it to create a graph of your projected model. Copilot has turned a sea of data into clear insights and actions.
Yeah, I really like that using the data to create a graph. I thought that was when the first time I saw that, that blew me away. One of the really impactful benefits of utilizing Copilot within Excel. Plus, there's others as well. All right, well, let's continue on with Copilot with data security.
Microsoft 365 Copilot works with the data security controls you have in place for file access, labeling, classification, and data loss prevention. Mario Rogers works for Violet Martinez, and both are on the same team at Contoso. Mario and Violet are also members in the same group working on Project Falcon. Now we'll start with Violet, who's been working with the procurement and contract management teams to sell their partner ReliCloud 1500 Mark 8 quadcopters. And you can see the file is labeled highly confidential with restricted access, and it describes all the terms in the purchase agreement. Because Violet has access to the file, she's able to search for and find it in SharePoint and Microsoft365.com. And of course, Violet can also navigate to the file's location in the agreements folder of the project site to find the purchase agreement. So now let's look at Mario's experience. Even though he's on the same team and working on Project Falcon with Violet, if Mario tries to search for the Contoso purchase agreement, he won't find it. And there are a few purchasing documents that he does find without sensitive information, but not the one that Violet's working on. And if Mario knows the location of the purchase agreement and tries to navigate to it directly, it just appears as an empty folder to him. And when Mario launches Word on the web and creates a blank document, then prompts Microsoft 365 Copilot to summarize the Contoso purchase agreement as a reference file, because Microsoft 365 Copilot respects the file permissions of its user, Copilot also cannot access the purchase agreement. Now, if we switch back to Violet's screen, because she has permission to access the purchase agreement, she can use Microsoft 365 Copilot to summarize the file. And after a moment, you'll see it created a summary of the purchase agreement, and Violet decides to keep it. Then data security controls for Microsoft Purview discover sensitive information found in the Microsoft 365 Copilot generated content. The document is automatically labeled as highly confidential, and policies are enforced to restrict access to the document.
Microsoft 365 Copilot is transforming work with the power of generative AI. It's built on Microsoft's comprehensive approach to enterprise-grade security, compliance, privacy, identity, and responsible AI. Copilot automatically inherits your organization's Microsoft 365 security, compliance, and privacy policies, so you know your data is protected and always in your control. It all starts with your Microsoft 365 tenant. Data stored in your tenant is encrypted and only available to the users within that tenant. Your existing Microsoft 365 permissions and policies ensure that data won't leak between users and groups. And Copilot users only have access to data they've been granted permission to see in Microsoft 365, using the same technology customers have relied on for years. Your tenant sits inside the Microsoft 365 service boundary, where Microsoft's commitments to security, compliance, data location, and privacy are upheld. The Copilot large language models, or LLMs, that process your data sit within that same boundary, much like other Microsoft 365 services. Microsoft does not have eyes-on access, which means no one can view your data. Your data is not used to train the LLMs. And our EU customers can be confident that their data is processed within the EU data boundary. Microsoft 365 Copilot, enterprise-grade security and privacy for the era of generative AI.
Okay, excellent. All right. So as you can see, and just to kind of piggyback off of the Copilot integration with security, I found that I found that tool to be really intuitive, especially the ability to ensure that again we're working off of zero trust, right? We're making sure that whoever has access to it to key documents or files are the only people that can access those things, and even Copilot isn't going to bypass that in order to give them that information, right? And so I think that's something that we really want to make sure that as we step into using these tools more and more, because they become more ingrained in our environments, right? We want to make sure that security and data privacy and protection is really at the heart of what we're doing, and making sure that those practices carry over into what we're doing in those environments. But to kind of to steer us back towards the Microsoft's AI principles. Again, the key things that I've said during this session, and I want to again to reiterate, is your data is your data. Okay, Microsoft is not taking your prompts or anything you generate and it's using it to train the OpenAI data. It's strictly used to generate the content that you're able to use or to answer or address any questions you may have or problems you may solve. All right, and your data is protected by a comprehensive enterprise compliance and security control suite. Okay, and it's really comes down to making sure that we're fair. There's a level of reliability and safety in terms of how the data is being managed. There's also sensitivities to privacy and security, and also being inclusive as well. And when I say inclusiveness, it's ensuring that the data that's being used is not being used to hurt or harm any communities, anyone, whether it be disabled or anyone that's a man or woman or anyone by their classification. The data is being used strictly to provide results and feedback to allow you to be productive at your work. And there's a lot of sensitivity that's gone into how Copilot is being engineered to ensure that's being protected. We also want to make sure that there's a high level of transparency as opposed to using other AI tools, that Copilot, again, is respecting your data and your privacy, okay? And there's accountability as well on Microsoft's end as well, all right? And so we just want to make sure that those key points are really kind of brought to your attention today, okay? All right, we can go to the next slide there. All right, great, good. All right, and so for those who have been able to utilize Copilot, right, we were able to get some feedback in terms of people's perception, right, and this was across various professions within the sphere. So we have this gentleman, Alex Wood here, who's a senior cloud engineer. I do believe that there isn't a single job position in the company that won't benefit in some way from Copilot being available to them, right? So even someone that's a cloud engineer can see the benefit beyond what they do every single day to others within their company, right? We have Mahesh Patil, who's the CTO of DLT Apps. I need to spend time consolidating meeting notes. Copilot does it for me. Okay, I'm saving at least 10 minutes of time with each meeting. 10 minutes. Again, that time adds up, especially as we talked about with all the amount of meetings that we may have set up for a day, right? So, I mean, if you have 4 or 5 meetings a day, that's almost 50 minutes out of your day that's now back to you. Again, that can be used for being creative, for actually driving the results is going to push your business to the next level, right? We can reverse and counteract that digital debt, right? And lastly, with Paul Birkin, who's the Chief Operating Officer for Open Ocean Studio, he says, I'm really impressed with how Copilot works in Outlook. I had it generate several emails for me, and it did a really great job. All I do was add my own details, and they were ready to send. All right. That's the power of Copilot. It's making those tasks that just over time, just incrementally just add on to your day to really find a way to consolidate it, make it efficient, and allow you to be productive. And again, free you up to do the things you need to do to take your business to the next level. Okay. So really great feedback so far. And beyond these three, I've talked to people and they've gotten really good feedback on Copilot. So the question is, now that we're getting towards the end of our presentation today, in terms of the slides, is, well, how can you get started? right? And so there's four key things that we want to definitely, focus on. We have some information we provide you to really, learn how AI is poised to create a new way of working, right? How can AI help you in terms of how your business goes from this point forward, right? Really seeing how can you optimize it and integrate it in your business, right? Additionally, right, we have some getting started content as well that will show you, necessarily how to go about adopting the tools into your environments, as well as also then going into how you can really maximize and configure your security, privacy, and compliance needs so that they're in lockstep with Copilot for 365. And the last part here, and I know we didn't really dive into it. There is another component called Copilot Lab. And what Copilot Lab essentially allows you to do is if you create prompts within Copilot 365, you can save those prompts and it can be shared amongst your team. So let's say if you found a particular prompt that's really useful for getting information, let's say on some data or some key information that your team uses, you can now take that prompt and share it and make it available, and then it can be optimized beyond that. And that's called Copilot Lab, right? And so all these tools will allow you to kind of take the beginning steps to really try transforming your business into an AI organization, to a Copilot organization, all right? Which is hopefully the takeaway that you got from today is that's a shift that you're going to want to make to really be able to maximize your business and take things to the next level. Okay. Yep. And we'll see if we can get those links to you. So we'll circle back with that information. Thank you. Hmm. Absolutely. All right. All right. We can go to the next slide. All right. Okay. So we have a new, this is our second annual Small Business Summit, which will be on December the 7th of this year. Okay. Last year we had at our first annual event. It was highly successful. It was incredible. We had a whole host of great speakers there, a great turnout, lots of people just showing up, having really engaging dialogues in terms of AI, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and the like, and how we can really help small businesses again take their business to the next level with the inclusion of these tools and services. So we would love to see you there. So please get this information and go ahead and register. All right. Again, this will be on Saturday, December 7th. I see Ali popped up on the screen, so I'm sure he's going to want to talk about this. I don't want to steal
Yeah,
too much of it.
it's not
You
even I
you
want
go
to
and do
talk
your
about
thing.
it. I'm trying to fix our site in the back end. So please, guys, we will, we'll do send the link to those who's registered. We're having some issue with our server on the back end. That's always technical stuff. It's always going wrong. At the wrong time when you need it to work. So I'm working with the guys in the back end to fix the server issue for the registration. So but we will send the email off to those who registered on Eventbrite. So please, if you're locally, come and join us. And this has been a great presentation. Thanks, Mike. Amazing stuff.
Hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, we do have one more section, and I'm just going to do a quick demo. Oh, and before we jump to the demo, please kindly scan the code for a survey that allows us to know how we're doing and how we can improve upon these sessions. We want to make sure that they are helpful for you, beneficial for you, and whatever feedback you can provide. It would be great. If you enjoyed it, you can also provide that in the survey as well. We would greatly appreciate the feedback. Okay. Excellent. All right. So I want to go ahead and just go through a quick demo here. And then once we get through the demo, we'll be able to dive into any questions that you may have. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right, cool. All right. All right. So this is going to take us through a bit of a quick demo here based off of a scenario that some of you may find to be very similar to what you've gone through before, right? All right, so We're going to utilize Copilot here. So let's say I'm at my work and my job. I'm going to go ahead and sign into Copilot and make sure it's all configured for me to work. So one of the first things I do is once I log into Explorer and you click on the Copilot link here, you'll be able to set the style in which you want Copilot to interact with you. So you can make it more creative, something that's a mixture of being more precise, or something that's in the middle of the two. But I'm looking for something to be very straightforward. All right, I have to do some work here, and I need it to just give me what I need, and that's about it, right? So I'm going to click on precise, and I'm going to go ahead and type in here that I wanted to summarize the top 5 features customers look for in an electric bike in 2023. So I'm doing some research on that and doing some information. So I'm typing this into Copilot. Let's go ahead and submit it. And what Copilot's now going to do is it's going to go ahead and start searching for that data. All right, and as you can see here, it's giving us our top searches, also giving us some links here. But I hope you notice, what do we have here? These are the referenced links. Remember, as I told you, that Copilot is really great at citing its data sources. So that way you're not just getting information from anywhere, which is really, really helpful. Okay. All right. So I have the top 5 features. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and create a summary for my company executives on those top 5 features based off the information that I've gathered. And I can now dictate exactly how I want this email to be written. Do I want it to be enthusiastic? Do I want to be highly informational? Do I want to be professional or casual? Well, given that it's executives, we're going to lean on being professional here. So go click on professional, and the format, it's going to be more of an email format. So we're going to click on that. And I don't want it to be super lengthy, so let's keep it straight to the point and give me a draft. And just like that, based off the information that Copilot gathered, I didn't even have to leave the screen. I'm still in my window here, in my test window. And it was able to create a draft for me. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here and see what else we can do. So now I'm going to go here and do a search. I'm going to go ahead and connect to Copilot. I'm going to sign in with my credentials, just as you would normally, right? So you sign in with your credentials, type in your password. All right. So now I want to take it a bit further and see what else I can do with Copilot. So I'm going to look at this product specs document that I have here. And this document has tons of information regarding this this bike here. So let's click here. I'm going to copy the information I have selected, which is, again, the product specs. And I'm going to take it back into Copilot, and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to ask Copilot specifically to write me a short value proposition based off of the bike and the information that I've shared. Okay, so I've put that information in there. And now we're going to say, go ahead and send it to Copilot to do its thing. So now Copilot is going to take that data and it's going to write this document that I've asked it to. All right. Okay, and again, it also gives me some additional resources to expand upon my knowledge. So it's written it for me. Great. But let's see. What if I wanted to compare the specs of the top 3 e-bikes, right, in the market, and I also want to add a bit of a summary using short descriptions and citations. Again, I'm literally asking it to create this work for me on the fly, using information that it's already been pulled from Copilot. So I submit that information, and now I'm going to have a comparison list breaking down those e-bikes across the various components there. And again, the references are here. So again, the information that I'm being provided, I can reference if anyone were to say, hey, where'd you pull this information from? I can show exactly where I got that from. All right, so now I'm like, okay, well, can you draw a logo for me based off of, off of Northwind's Thunderbolt electric bike, right? I want to create a logo. Now remember, DAL-E, which is a component that's fed into Copilot, will allow it to do that. And so utilizing that request, once I submit it, it's going to create a logo for me. All right, it's going to generate an image, and we'll see. Should have about 3 or 4 images. Yep, about 4 images here. So now I have 4 images that I can utilize as a logo. Right? Cool stuff. All right, so I got the logo created. All right, cool. Well, what else can I do? What else can I do with Copilot? So now I'm looking at this PDF file here. Let's see what we can do. So I'm going to go into Copilot, and now I'm going to ask it to pretty much generate a half dozen short social media posts based on the web page and include emojis, right? So let's take a look here. So it's going to take the information that's within this PDF here, and it's going to make them into social media posts with the emojis already built in and the hashtags already created. All right. And as you can see, we've done probably about 3 or 4 different tasks so far, all within this short period of time, right? So I have this here. I can go and post it into Instagram or Facebook or whichever social media service I'm utilizing. But now I have key information already typed up and ready to go. All right. And it's just as we normally do. Once you're complete, we're going to go ahead and sign out of our environment just to make sure that no one can come behind and modify anything we're working on here. And we're good to go. All right. And this is just a very brief demo of some of the capabilities of Copilot in your day-to-day. All right. So hopefully that provides a level of just visualization as to what it can do. And again, there's way more you can do beyond that. But this is just to kind of give you a sample. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. That concludes our demo and concludes the presentation for today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask and let us know if you have any questions or comments or feedback on what we've shared today. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. And it's constantly evolving. So it's really exciting to see what's going to happen next with Copilot. Absolutely. I guess I'll ask this since oh yeah, thank you. No problem. I guess since I haven't got any questions yet, I wanted to ask anybody here. Um in your current work environment, is anyone currently utilizing AI? And if so, how is it being utilized there? Anyone want to share?
Thanks, Mike, for the great feedback. Yeah, absolutely.
No,
This has been a good presentation.
no problem. Yeah, yeah, Murder. The government takes some time when it comes to AI stuff. So yeah, it's good deal. Good deal. Okay.
If we don't have no to run, please help us complete the survey, and we'll see you at the next event. Thanks, Mike.
No problem. Thank you guys for
Okay.
coming. I hope today was beneficial, and we'll catch you at the next one. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike. Okay, I see Ty. So you guys have your own version of GPTs, Broad GPT and Bond GPT. Okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right.
So we can end this. Let me stop this recording, right? Stop.